What's up guys, my name's Brandon and welcome back to Apple Weekly. This week wasn't too crazy, but we did get new software across the board, along with some pretty interesting news and rumors. So in this episode, we're going to talk about iOS 15.5 Beta 2 and how it's been running, along with when to expect the next beta and the final release. And after that, we're going to discuss the latest leaks and rumors surrounding the iPhone 14, how Apple got successfully sued for not including a charger in the box of an iPhone, how the original HomePod is giving better returns than the stock market, and more. And as always, if you guys want to stay updated with all things Apple, make sure to click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss next week's episode. Alright, so as always, let's start off with the software and let's talk about iOS 15.5 Beta 2 and what's new and of course how it's been running over this past week. So first off, I wanted to talk about some of the additional changes here in this update, and if we go into weather, you can see the report and issue is bigger. It's a more prominent bubble now in the weather application if you're on your current location. So this has always been there for a while now, but it was very small. It was not prominent like it is right here. So it seems like Apple is trying to crowdsource more information about the current conditions at your location to improve future forecasts. And if we head into the news application and go to the News Plus tab right here, and if we scroll down to some of these news stories right here and we look for the audio ones, we can see that we have the preview audio button right here as well, which is not new, but if we tap on these three dots right here, the preview audio button right there is what's new. So you can see over here on the left is iOS 15.4.1, and we have the same story right there with the preview audio, but when we tap on those three dots, you can see there is no selection here in the share sheet for preview audio. And also the Vox was moved from the bottom to the top here in 15.5. Now something else that I mentioned to you guys in my what's new video, but I didn't actually show you the pop-up, is this right here, and it only happens after I reboot my phone. So it says shortcuts, automations will run once your iPhone is unlocked. So for whatever reason, that pops up every time after I reboot my phone, and then it just disappears after about 20 minutes. So I looked for it in my notification center now, and you can see it's just not there. So it looks like it only appears, at least right now, after a reboot, and that is a new pop-up that was not there before. Apple has also just added a new advanced fraud protection feature for debit cards that you have saved in your wallet for Apple Pay. So it looks like this is only available for Visa cards right now, and this was an over-the-air update. It is not exclusive to iOS 15.5 betas 1 or 2. You should see this on your device if you have a Visa card in your Apple Pay. Now something else I mentioned in my What's New video that I wanted to retouch on is the release notes. So you can see here, these are the release notes for Beta 2, and we're a week later, and you can see here the release notes are just copy and pasted from iOS 15.4. These are the exact same release notes, word for word, as iOS 15.4. So I'm not too sure why they did this. I don't know if just nothing has changed in Beta 2, but the release notes are a direct copy and paste from the 15.4, the final release notes. Pretty strange. Apple has also added cycling directions for several parts of the Midwest, including Chicago. So you can see right here in Chicago, we now have cycling directions, and it shows right here, like the side roads, and shared road, and you can avoid hills or busy roads, but basically just have good cycling directions now in Chicago, along with other states like Detroit, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Charleston. And those are not states, I meant to say cities, but there you go. So do you guys remember this right here? Yeah, this is the MagSafe battery pack, which didn't do so hot for Apple in terms of sales and just overall just reviews online. Really nobody liked this thing. It was cool. It was a good idea, but it just didn't really wow people. And Apple actually released a new firmware version for the MagSafe battery pack, and it now charges your iPhone faster. So it now charges at 7.5 watts on the go compared to 5 watts before the update. That's a pretty nice change for just having an over-the-air firmware update. So I think Apple realized that this thing was lacking and they updated it to charge at 7.5 watts now. So that's awesome. So if you do have a MagSafe battery pack, you should definitely go ahead and update the firmware on it, and you'll be able to see faster charging speeds for your iPhone. Now, as far as the performance goes, I'm running another Geekbench test here just to see how the scores compare to when this first came out, but I'm not really seeing a difference in raw performance going from betas 1 to beta 2. So also I don't see a big difference from 15.4, 15.4.1, so don't expect any type of jump in the performance, although some people are saying that they see improvements in the animations if you have the 120 Hz promotion display on the 13 Pro series. So you can see here we got a 1737 and a 4779, and you can see there the scores are actually lower than they were on the day of the test. So pretty interesting. Again, these scores don't really tell the whole story, but some people do like seeing them, and it's pretty fun to track those results. But don't expect any change in performance, and battery life, really it's the same story. So 15.5 overall does fix the battery drain bug that affected a lot of 15.4 users, but there's really no difference in battery life going from beta 1 to beta 2. All right, so now let's move on to what is next for Apple. So next up is iOS 15.5 beta 3, and that is most likely coming not next week, but the following week, the week of May 2nd. So most likely on May 3rd. And, Apple could release beta 3 next week, but I think they're going to skip another week and move it into May. That is, of course, if Apple is planning to release iOS 15.5 at the very end of May or the beginning of June. And then after Apple releases beta 3, we're going to be on a weekly schedule until the final release, which the final release of iOS 15.5 is coming, quote, around WWDC, which is on June 6th. So that leaves us basically with the week of the 23rd and the week of the 30th as our two most likely dates. Now, I don't think it's going to come in June. I don't know why. I just have a feeling it's not going to come as late as June. So my guess is probably on the week of May 23rd, just because the following week is Memorial Day. So Apple is really weird around times of holidays, not even just the specific day, but that whole week. They're really weird with that. So I could see Apple releasing 15.5 on the week of the 23rd. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. There's really a lot up in the air right now. We'll have to wait and see when Apple releases beta 3 and the build number and things like that. But that's just my preliminary guess. I do also think that Apple's going to release an iOS 15.4.2 to patch up more bugs and security vulnerabilities. I think that could come as early as next week, but most likely sometime in May before the final release of 15.5 and of course iOS 16 beta 1 down here on June 6th, the same day that the Worldwide Developers Conference starts. All right, so now let's move on to some of the latest Apple leaks and rumors. So let's start off with some iOS 14 news that you selfie takers are going to love. So Ming-Chi Kuo just recently tweeted this out. The front cameras of the 4 new iPhone 14 models in the second half of 2022 would likely upgrade to autofocus and about f1.9 aperture versus the f2.2 aperture and fixed focus. Autofocus support and a lower f number can provide a better shallow depth of field for selfie and portrait mode. In addition, autofocus can also enhance the focus effect for FaceTime and video calls and live streaming. So not only are we going to get a bigger and more powerful rear-facing camera setup, but now it looks like the selfie camera is also going to see a nice improvement. And autofocus and the aperture change are actually pretty big changes. Even if just going from 1.9 or 2.2 to 1.9, it seems like a small difference, but that makes a big difference in the bokeh in the background. And also autofocus is going to be really nice. So we're going to be able to see a difference from the iPhone 13, which already takes amazing selfies. And speaking of the iPhone 14, we also have a potential new color option for the iPhone 14, and that is purple. So according to a user on Weibo, who has no track record, mind you, so take it with a grain of salt, but he says that purple will be one of the new color options this year. So if this is true, that would mean the iPhone 14 and 14 Max will reportedly be available in black, white, blue, red, and purple, and the Pro versions would come in graphite, gold, silver, and purple. So I don't know about you guys, but I love purple iPhones. I love them, so I really hope that this rumor is true. Now, moving ahead a couple of years, Kuo also reported on something very interesting, and that is the all-screen iPhone with Face ID and the front-facing camera hidden under the screen, something we've heard about for several years now. So he said this recently: I think the real full-screen iPhone will come in 2024. High-end iPhones in 2024 would adopt an under-display front camera alongside the under-display Face ID. A low light condition is detrimental to the front camera quality, and ISP and algorithms are critical for quality improvements. So this iPhone would look incredibly sleek and futuristic, but honestly, I don't know if it's quite ready to be here by 2024. What do you guys think? I mean, it just seems like we're still far away from this. I don't know why. I think the pill shape could make a difference this year. We could, be on our way to seeing a real all-screen iPhone, but I don't know about 2024. I see 2025, 2026 as a more realistic estimate, but I don't know, I could be way off. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Now, do you guys remember the OG HomePod, and you remember how it flopped hard and Apple discontinued it after a few years? Well, apparently if you kept one sealed and in the box, you'd be doing better than investing in the stock market this year. Seriously. And that's because if you take a glance at eBay, you'll see that they're going for at least 30 to 40, 50% more than they were new from Apple. So they sold new for $350 and they're now going for $500, $600, even $1,000 for some of them. So $500 plus is like an easy bet. So if you have a way to get a hold of a bunch of HomePods that are still new in the box, buy them and flip them on eBay and you'll make a nice return. And then finally, we have to end things on a fun, interesting note, and that is that a Brazilian man sued Apple for not including the charging block with his new iPhone, and he won. A judge in Brazil is forcing Apple to compensate a customer $1,075 for the lack of a charger with his iPhone purchase. TechMundo reports that, quote, according to Article 39 of the CDC, tie sale is an abusive and prohibited practice in Brazil, so it is not allowed to sell cell phone and charger separately. Therefore, Apple is being sentenced after selling an iPhone model and charger separately to a customer in the city of Goiânia. According to the result issued by the judge, Apple must compensate the customer $1,075 for carrying out the tie sale of the company's devices. So that's pretty crazy to see an individual sue Apple and actually win over something like this. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen in the United States. You know, that lawsuit's not really going to affect anything here in the United States or Canada. We're still going to continue to not get a charger with our new iPhones, and a lawsuit here would be honestly just a waste of money. But anyways, guys, there you have it. That is the latest batch of Apple news from this past week, along with some additional info and a report on iOS 15.5. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, as always, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up, and of course, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.